Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome to Russ Can Fly. Instrument rating. Psh, who needs it? Okay, so this is going to be one of those videos where you're like, okay, Russ, first of all, it's another one of those talking head videos that we definitely don't like. We like to see you when you're flying. So I know that's one strike against it, but the other one is, yes, this is going to be slightly negative. And you know, I've always been one of those people that I wanted to show you everything about the journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. And so this isn't necessarily ugly, but it's one of those things where, you know, I am struggling right now. The reason why I'm really struggling is it has a lot to do with the fact that, yes, you know, I am on this instrument rating journey, and I've talked about it a number of times, and I actually make pronouncements about when I'm going to get my instrument rating. I think a couple times I actually even said that I was going to be finishing it by 2023. But obviously that's not going to happen because I am just still struggling with this written and the ground school and stuff. I haven't even locked in where I'm going to take it, what airplane I'm going to fly, my CFII, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, and it's just all kind of crazy right now. And I will say these are just first world problems that I'm having because there's much bigger things going on in the world, you know, other than me complaining about not getting my instrument rating. But since aviation means so much to me, and I want to be a safer pilot, and I want to be able to expand my horizons, no pun intended, in terms of when and where I fly, the instrument rating is something that is just hovering above me. But here is the problem. There's two problems. Let me tell you about it. Okay, so my first problem is, for all the non-aviation folks out there, getting your private license is like learning a new language, a new culture. Just imagine that, let's pick Spain as an example. So say you fly to Barcelona, Spain. It's beautiful, but there's a lot that you don't know. Yes, it is wonderful. It's amazing. You see all this great stuff, but you don't really know how to engage it because there's a language that you need to learn unless you already speak Spanish. And there's a whole culture that, you know, as Americans, we may not completely understand. Now, I understand that you're in Europe and, you know, there's a European way of living, but each country has its own unique culture. And so you got to spend some time learning the language, learning the culture before you can get comfortable maneuvering and being able to handle all that the culture and the language throw at you. Believe it or not, learning how to fly an airplane is almost the same thing. Different language, different culture, different way of like viewing things, especially the weather. Typically when we're down here, the only time you're worried about the weather is if it's raining. Well, when you become a pilot or you start pilot training, you realize that there's a lot more to be concerned about than just whether or not it's raining. And so you struggle. And eventually you learn, you get the sectional charts, you start learning symbology, you start listening to ATC communications or air traffic control communications, you start figuring out instrumentation in the airplanes, flight characteristics, all of that kind of stuff. And eventually, like, a light bulb turns on. And for some people, it's just months, some people it's years, but eventually everything kind of comes together and it clicks. And so now you've got this shiny new private pilot's license. You understand the instrumentation inside the airplane. You understand what this person called a flight instructor is saying to you sitting on your right side. You understand what's going on and what kind of clouds and what it means to have a ceiling and whether or not broken and scattered is the ceiling and all that kind of stuff. You get all of that. And then you take this thing called a check ride and you go out there with a designated pilot examiner, and they sign you off, and voila, you are a licensed private pilot. And so here you are. You are deeply ensconced in the language and the culture. You have gone from the equivalent of USA to Barcelona, Spain, and you understand the language, the culture. You understand everything that's kind of going on. You're good to go. And then you decide, I am going to do this thing called getting my instrument rating. And of course, since you're already a pilot, you understand everything you need to know. Instrument rating, no big deal, right? Oh, that's where I got it all wrong. So getting that instrument rating is like going from Barcelona, Spain, and then you wake up one day and you are an octopus. I know it sounds crazy, but now you're not even the same species. You're not even human anymore. And you've got these tentacles and you're living in water, and there's slime and things and noises and the deep and all of that kind of stuff. Yes, I know I'm being dramatic, and I got a flair for the dramatic. I mean, that's just how I get down. But that's what it's like between getting your private license and getting your instrument rating. I mean, you become a completely different species. I mean, the language is completely different. Again, the body of knowledge is all new and complicated. The ground school stuff is just crazy. And you go from learning one sectional chart to a chart that looks completely different than what you had been studying in order to fly one of those in the first place. And so it is a whole new animal, literally. And so it's just so much stuff to learn. And the unfortunate part is I'm struggling with some of it. Not all of it, but some of it. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, my motivation is lacking a little bit. I don't know if I, oh. That thing is loud. And so I don't know if it's just, I can fly without it. And so thinking about cramming even more stuff into this feeble brain of mine, just this lack of motivation, it's just hard. I mean, and it's really, really difficult information. It's dense, it's specific. And I understand why you're a safer pilot. All the stuff that you had to do to get your PPL is just, exponentially different when you're doing this. The performance calculations and even weather stuff, all of these different things that you now are beginning to look at in terms of weather information is just so completely different. It is intense. But the thing that I find really difficult is instrumentation and stuff like that, because you really don't get into that until you fly. But then if you start flying, then that's the thing, what are you flying and what kind of instrumentation are you using? And that's where I'm really struggling. Because look, if I'm here, you see this SR-22 behind me. You see this SR-22 behind me. It's probably got glass in it, most likely a Garmin, maybe Avidyne. That instrumentation is going to be different from probably what's in that Beechcraft Bonanza there, or even 901 Quebec Sierra. But suffice it to say, all the aircraft that you see me fly, including little Sammy, who I can't do IFR training in because it doesn't even have the required instrumentation to be able to even fly. It is a VFR, or a visual flight rules airplane only. And so it's just so overwhelming to try to get all of this stuff right in terms of all of the new information that is just crazy, and then dealing with all the different instrumentation that was out there. Maybe 10 years ago this wasn't an issue because most of the instrumentations were steam gauges. You were chasing needles, and it seems like, just from my perspective, other pilots out there can opine, But it just seems like in the last 10 years, avionics has just gone crazy in terms of the level of sophistication and the information that you have available at your fingertips, which is great. The downside is there's just so many varieties now, so that all of the legacy aircraft is just all over the place in terms of what you'll run into. I've flown Piper Archers that have been on the line of some of these flight schools that have had all steam. Some have had some glass. One had an entire Avidyne system in it with an autopilot. I mean, it's just been all over the board. So I find myself just getting overwhelmed. The other thing is, I've been taking some practice exams, and I gotta tell you, I'll get to some questions and I'm like, I don't even understand what this question is asking me. And so there's acronyms that I'm still trying to figure out, and it just seems like it's taking so long, and it's just so much, and why bother? So yes, I'm whining. But you're on this journey with me, and you said you're committed to, you know, taking it all. And so yeah, my thick skull is just really having a hard time either understanding a concept or retaining a concept. There's some things that are definitely coming along, but man, it's just overwhelming. And I got this study guide, and it's an amazing study guide. I mean, it's broken down. It's got all the acronyms, 8 tomato flames, new craft. I mean, all of those types of acronyms and ideograms and all of that kind of stuff that helps you remember stuff. Well, even that is just so overwhelming because it's just pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of this stuff. So yeah, I'm just completely overwhelmed and, you know, having a hard time. And so everything is taking me longer, and it is frustrating. And so part of me, I'll put it to you like this. Remember those days when you were in school? It could be high school, it could be college, or whatever. And you knew you had an assignment due. And it's 2 days out, and you know that assignment is due. The assignment is probably going to should have taken you a week to do, but you've given yourself 2 days. What do? You go to sleep, you play video games, you go eat, you clean your room, you brush your teeth for the 15th time. You do whatever you can to avoid just sitting your butt in a chair and doing the assignment, because you just know it's just the procrastination thing and some human nature stuff. I don't know what it is, but that's what's happening to me. And so when I know I need to pick up a book and do some other questions and whatnot, I'll do anything else. In fact, I have some time today, and instead of working on the ground school, I'm complaining about not doing the ground school on this video with you, because I'd rather do this because this is more fun. But at any rate, that's a struggle that I'm having right now, and I freely admit that I gotta find my zen or something like that. So that's the other thing that I'm struggling with a bit, is just where to do it and how to engage it and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things I definitely want to do is get this written out of the way, so that, you know, I'm not trying to still do that and study for that and all that kind of stuff. So that is a must do. So the barrier not only is a financial one, but I am the barrier, because, you know, I got to get on top of this ground school stuff in order to get the written done, so now I can even engage. But this, you know, where to go and how to engage and how many CF double I's are there to even do the flight instruction for instrument, and all of that kind of stuff is it just feels overwhelming. So I gotta tell you, one of the things I've been doing is just blowing it off, procrastinating, and thinking, why the heck should I even be bothered? I mean, I know a lot of people who don't have instrument ratings, and they live just a fine, their pilot lives are just fine without it. So pshaw on the instrument rating. But I never want to be one of those people that starts something and doesn't finish. You know, that's the first thing that's bothering me. And the second thing is, I think an instrument rating is a very crucial thing. I mean, even though I don't have one, I haven't been flying, the last thing I want to do is be in a situation where, first, I'm always limited, number one, and number two, I don't have that capability in the event that some weather comes up. Yes, right now I have 3 hours of instrument flight time, which is nothing. So on any rate, that's it. I mean, I know you guys don't really like these talking head videos, and you know, I much rather do stuff flying and being in the cockpit and talking to you while I'm up there, because that's where I want to be. But this is also part of the journey. Some of it is just feet flat on the ground and stuff just going on. So I don't want to hide this. I don't want to hide my frustrations, my lack of motivation. It's just, man, I'm just not feeling it. But hopefully, prayerfully, I know you guys are all looking out for me. I know there's a bunch of you who are praying for me. I appreciate all of that, and the prayers and the support of the channel. It's just been amazing. So that's why I am putting this out there, just to let you know that this has been a little bit of a struggle, but you know, with the help of all of you, we will get there. So anyway, that's it. And I'm sorry to sound whiny or complain, but you guys are my peeps. You are my Russ Can Fly family. And I feel like, you know, you hate to unburden yourself on your friends, but what are friends for? And I definitely appreciate you guys all being out there, because yeah, this has been tough. I mean, it's not an easy thing. And so I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, especially if you got to this point with all the whining I've been doing. I definitely greatly appreciate the support and all of the attention and the great feedback. It's been amazing, so I thank you. So that's it. Russ can fly, but he can't get an instrument rating. All right, I'm out, good people. You guys be safe. God bless. I'm out. Peace.